Well, everyone, hello and welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and you know, on this channel in real life, we love to bring you stories, individuals, people that are doing things that have something to say that can turn the tide for each and every one of us. And recently, I had lunch with my friend CJ, and it was an interesting lunch and I was enthralled by what she was saying. So I said, you know what? Let's share this with the world because who else thinks this, feels this, wants to know about this? And it's important. So first of all, CJ, tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm a danger expert, badass grandma, and author of 5 books, three of which are in the Badass Parenting series, the third of which is coming out in about 2 months. And I've lived in this area in North Carolina for about almost 30 years. And I am just thrilled to be here with you today, Marilyn.
Well, I am too. And so you're the star of this show today. So we had a conversation about LGBTQ plus, which I am always fascinated with. I do associate with being her, she, and I am going to be using that more and more out of respect for
Mhm.
myself, but also my friends that are not he and she.
Mhm.
So now, would you describe what where you are and what your thoughts are? You are now part of the LGBTQ plus community. You were married, you have children, but now you are in that community. So can you share with everyone what that looks like?
Yes, I was married twice, in fact, had 2 sons in my first marriage and have 3 grandchildren now. And I have always felt awkward about intimacy. I've only been in relationships with men. And although I enjoyed, from the time I was a teenager when I was hot to trot, although I enjoyed making out and things like that, I never enjoyed sex. And I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought maybe the childhood molestations had an impact on me, the PTSD. I thought that maybe, as I got older, I thought maybe it was my hormones. I thought maybe it was menopause. I just didn't know what was going on. But the older I got, the more averse I became to the idea of having sex.
How old are you? How old are
I
you?
am 61 now. Oh, I'm 62 now. I just had a birthday. Just had a birthday, so I'm 62. First time I got to say that. Um, and about 2 years ago, I felt like I was broken. I felt like there was something wrong with me because I tried dating women. I tried dating men, and I just could not have sexual feelings for anybody. So I thought I was broken. I got back into therapy and I tried to figure out where I was broken and what I could do about it. And in talking to my therapist, I realized that I wasn't broken. And then I read a book about asexuality. I happened to run across a book about asexuality. And I was just completely blown away because it described me to a T. Asexuality is basically, there are many, many different kinds of asexuality, but in a nutshell, it's someone who does not want to engage in the physical act of sex with another person. So there are different kinds. There are romantic asexuals who like to cuddle and kiss and things like that, but don't want to have sex. There are ones that don't want to have any physical contact at all and don't want to have sex. It's a whole spectrum in the asexual community. I'm a romantic asexual. I love to cuddle. I love to kiss and things like that. But recognizing that was like, oh my gosh, it was life changing, Marilyn. It's like all the dominoes. I mean, just everything just went and fell into place. It explained all these years of relationships where I was not happy, and it opened up a new way of thinking about myself and a new way of being. Because suddenly I wasn't broken. I was just a member of this community, this LGBT community, and didn't recognize that's where I was. What's interesting is that a lot of the women I know who are my age in my generation have similar feelings. They're always saying things like, "Well, if my husband and I ever divorce, or if he ever passes away, I'm never going to get into another relationship. I'm done with it." And so I think there are a lot of people out there who are asexual but don't know that that's a thing to even be, which
So,
is why we're talking about it.
well, yeah, and I'm sure that from this conversation can spark other conversations. And for those of you out there that are listening, and if you have another idea for something that today will triggers inside of you, let me know. Marilyn at marilynshannon.com, because we need to talk about everything. And there's a lot of things that we don't know. For instance, what is the difference between sex and intimacy as far as you're concerned?
Sex to me is a physical act, sexual act, whether it's between a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a man. Intimacy, I sometimes use them interchangeably, but intimacy actually is something different. To me, intimacy is the emotional connection you have with someone that leads you to some form of physical touch. It can be with or without physical touch, but it doesn't necessarily include sex. Intimacy means you are sharing your soul with another person.
Okay. And so then I guess the next question is, and why be, or how come you are a part of the LGBTQ community? What makes this part of that community?
The reason it's part of the community is that people who are asexual often face some lesser forms, in my opinion, lesser forms of discrimination. I mean, just like, somebody who comes out as gay, they may say, "Oh, you're not really gay, you're confused," or whatever. Even my sister and my closest friends have said to me, "Well, it's just your hormones, or it's because of your abuse, or it's because you're just going through a phase." Or I bet if Brian Reynolds walked in the room, you'd change your mind. Things like that are really quite insensitive, and that actually denigrate my experience, discount my experience, and make me feel like I shared something personal with you, and what I got back was um, an argument. What I got back was discounted my feelings. And so, and there are people who, who've been in situations where it's like, well, if you were with a real man, you change your mind, kind of like they do with lesbians. And so there is some discrimination toward people in the who are asexual, and the reason they're in the LGBT community is that they identify as other than cisgender heterosexual relationships,
And it happens at any age, because you know
and it
what?
happens at any
Because
age.
here you are 62,
Mm-hmm.
grandma, all these things, and here you are acknowledging this. And it's not like, you're not walking around with purple hair and, you know, drag queening or anything. I mean, this is your part.
This is my part, and it's very liberating. I have to tell you, it's
It
very
is.
liberating.
And so do you consider yourself queer? Because if you're in this is what I understand. As part of being LGBTQ plus, not part of what we have, and I preface this by saying, and listen, everyone, I don't always know everything that I'm supposed to say now, the new
Mm-hmm.
ways of saying things. So I am learning.
Me too.
So that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not part of what is considered norm, right, then you are queer, which is,
Mm-hmm.
so then you're queer.
Yes. Yes, I consider myself part of the queer community. Queer is a preferred term. It kind of encompasses all the people who do not fit the norm, what society considers normal. And what's really interesting to me is that, in the older generations, about 5.6% of the population identifies as queer. In the younger generation, it's coming up on 25%.
What does society have anything to do with any of this, in your opinion, from the inside? You're on the inside, I'm on the outside. What do you think?
Um, I think that the younger generations are more into self-expression, and they're getting a lot of pushback from society, to not use different pronouns, to not be transgender. I mean, they're getting it from, it's political and it's social, and it's a really scary time for a lot of queer people. My heart breaks for transgender individuals and the laws that are being passed right now that want to erase them from existence, literally erase them from existence, and make them go backward with their gender transformation procedures and things like that. It's just sickening, and it's dangerous. And I fear that young people will kill themselves over this. It is very dangerous.
And I agree. And, it's interesting. The other day, my daughter pointed out someone who has transitioned from a young girl into a young boy and is now a boy. And I was thinking to myself when this person passed me by, and they're young, they're probably 11, 10, 11,
Hmm.
how happy I am for them that they've done it already.
Yeah.
Even though the fight is still ahead of them on a lot of
Hmm.
levels with what's going on today. And but still I was like, oh my God, you know
Because that child can't play sports with his male friends. He can't. He in some places he can't use the bathroom that he identify. For the gender he identifies with. They want to make the thing I don't understand. I mean, this is a dog whistle. Politically, it's a dog whistle. They're just using this to appeal to their base, which is more conservative and wants to control people. If you don't want to be gay, don't be gay. If you don't be transgender, don't be transgender.
I mean,
I mean,
wait, hold on a minute. And let me say that's really a great point. And you may not want sex. You
yeah,
may not like sex. You may never have liked sex and still don't consider yourself queer. And that
yeah,
is
that's
okay.
right.
You can consider yourself whatever you feel like.
Yes. Well, I don't understand why people feel like they can tell other people how to live their lives. I mean, they have the choice to live their life the way they want to, but they don't have the right to impose their values on us. And they're making us, the queer community, feel like it's aberrant and deviant and all these other things. And it's not. It's a choice about. I mean, I have a trans friend who is so dear to me. She's on the board of directors with me of the Harmony, the LGBT Chamber of Commerce here in North Carolina, and she lived her life in the closet from the time she was a little girl and only came out a few years ago, and she lost everything in the process. She lost her family, her kids, everything, but she has never felt so happy. She misses her children dearly, but she has never felt more authentic, more at peace with herself, because she is finally living an authentic existence.
Let me say something to everyone out there, whoever's listening. This is not a choice that you make because you just feel like it. It's the same kind, it's in the same category of choices that I would have to say I would about somebody who's about to embark on having some sex one night. And they say, I'm going to have a little sex. And if I get pregnant, so I'll have an abortion. People don't do that. That's not why people
Mhm.
have intimacy or why people have sex. People don't say that. Same
Mhm.
thing with this. I mean, you're not saying this for, any other reason other than what's authentic to you.
They're on Facebook, and if anybody's curious about this, on Facebook and on a lot of the social channels are groups of asexual individuals. There's, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name of some of them right now, but they just escape me. But you can just type in asexual or asexuality and you'll find all these groups. And a lot of them are young people who are coming out and saying, I choose not to have sex ever in my life. And I'm getting all this pressure from my family, my friends. And, it's just, it's, it's not something other people, you need to let other people tell you who you are. No matter where you are on the spectrum in the LGBTQIA plus community that has all these acronyms to it, doesn't matter. If you're queer, it's okay. It's okay. And if you're scared to come out to your friends and family, they'll deal with it. I told my son one time, I said, I have a date on Saturday night. It's the first date I had with a woman. I said, I have a date on Saturday night. He said, what's her name? Ha ha ha. And I said, Tina, ha ha ha. And he was like, whoa, cool, mom. You don't know what kind of response you're going to get. My family's been extremely supportive of me.
Every
And the fact is,
everybody.
living a lie, living inauthentically is so painful.
Mhm.
And so, for those who are on the border about whether they want to come out or not, living authentically is the only way to live. Otherwise, you're living a half life.
Right. So, what comes first? Is it the asexual coming first, or is it the, let's say, or maybe it doesn't even matter, being like a lesbian or heterosexual, or, I mean, does any of that matter, or doesn't it matter at all?
It doesn't matter at all. They have nothing to do with one another.
Okay.
Nothing at all. Now, in the future, when I get into a relationship, it will be with a woman. I don't choose to
Okay.
have sex with a woman, but my partner will be a woman
And why
when
is
when
that?
I enter into a relationship, because a lot of reasons. One is that my experience with men has not been necessarily positive. because I was molested and I was raped twice as a teenager by men. And so my experience has not been positive, but also women are more emotional. And for me, the spiritual, emotional, and intellectual connection is my top three things. The physical is at the bottom of the pile. And women are more able to be there in touch with their emotions and be able to express their emotions. And that's very, very important to me. And so I'm more likely to get into the kind of relationship that will fulfill me with a woman than I am with a man.
You know what I love about this? I love how it's natural. That's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I'm experiencing talking to you about this. So I'm married. I have a husband. I don't couldn't necessarily see myself with a woman, but when I take a position of neutrality, I can see a lot of things. I can see a lot of things, and when
When
I
you drop the judgment and start the observation,
yeah,
you will see a whole different world.
yeah, it consciously, even consciously doing that and consciously knowing where I fit in is extremely fun and freeing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to feel like I can't connect with you because you don't scare me.
Mm-hmm.
I recently, I was telling you, I launched a podcast called Through Their Eyes for young adults. It's the second
Mm-hmm.
Monday in the month. Write me, everyone, and I'll tell you about it. And you can see the other YouTube channel called Psych Notes, and we upload those there. But the last month we had a young high school senior who is they and the responsible for a like a club, I guess, in the high school. They were phenomenal, talking about everything, and it just is lovely.
And there is a whole community out there that is waiting to embrace you. If you're afraid of coming out because you fear the response you're going to get from your friends and family, the LGBT community will bring you in and be your family.
And that's
Um,
anywhere, right? Tell our audience everywhere.
tell them what I'm sorry.
Tell them it's everywhere,
It
correct?
is. It's everywhere. And here in the Triangle area of North Carolina, again, we have the NC LGBT Chamber, which is called Harmony, that I'm on the board of. And if you want to get involved in Harmony and come to some of the events, it's like no kind of other event you've been to. There's so much love. There's so much support. Everybody wants to help you. Email me at cj@cjscarlett.com, and that's Scarlett with one T, cj@cjscarlett.com, and I'll connect you with that community. I'll be your mommy if you need me to be your mom. I'll be your dad if you need me to be your dad,
It's
and I'll
fantastic.
support you and love you and affirm you.
So do these groups welcome individuals of all ages
All ages and allies as well.
and allies as well?
Yes.
Fabulous. So I don't want to do this too long because I want everybody to listen. I want you to come back and we'll do this again and we'll touch
Mm-hmm.
upon some other things. Maybe we'll follow CJ and and you're do you use her, right?
I use she, her. Mm-hmm.
She, her. So is there anything that for today that we should share as our introduction into you that we should share that other people would want to know that I did not ask or you did not tell yet? You
Hmm.
mentioned your family and you're getting great support. You mentioned this community of people that, and I will tell you, this community of people, they're everywhere.
They are all over the world.
All over the world. And if you live somewhere and you think you are in a state, and we know about these, where you are not safe, contact CJ anyway.
Yes.
Because
I
there's
will connect you with a community.
and here's another thing that I do know. I know that there's brilliance going on beneath the surface. And I know that with a lot of things that I look at that I don't like, be it politics, be it this, be it that. I know that there's some brilliant things going on beneath the surface that brilliant minds, brilliant hearts are working on, that I am counting on to make the difference for all of us. And I believe that there is that same brilliance bubbling underneath the surface here about the LGBTQ plus. People are doing some great work, and a lot of us are jumping on the bandwagon to understand
Mm-hmm.
because we cannot live this life if we don't understand each other. So is there anything that we should touch upon, CJ, before we end for today?
I can't think of anything else, but I'm serious. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about asexuality, about the queer community, about how to get in touch with the queer community, about how to go to events that are where you're going to get to meet people and find the support that you need. And I'm here. I'm here and I will help.
So one more question. So when you go to these community meetings or events,
Events.
do how do you know, since the categories are so many that fit into LGBTQ, how do you know who somebody is? Like, what is protocol? How do you say, are you asexual? Are you,
In our community, it doesn't matter. We don't even ask.
you don't even ask.
We don't even ask. On our name tags, we have the preferred pronouns,
Okay.
but that's all we do because we want to make sure that we're referring to them as they, them, or whatever whatever their preferred pronouns are. But it doesn't matter whether you're transgender or an ally or asexual. We don't care. We love you.
And here's another thought I want to mention. It is okay to ask. It's okay to ask your friends if, that are part of the community, whatever you want. I ask the silliest questions, trust me,
Yeah.
because I don't know much.
And I still get it wrong. I'm a member of the community. I get stuff wrong all the time. I say insensitive things that I don't mean to because I don't know. And sometimes what I really struggle with is with the pronouns. Because I'm 62, my brain is wired for she, her, or he, him. And so when I meet an individual who's they, them, it takes me a long time to get used to calling them they, them, referring to them in that way.
Absolutely. Me too.
So
So if you get nothing else from this, know that there's people out here to support you. Here's another thing. I'm going to probably say a few. You're not alone.
no.
You're not weird. You're not
Mm-mm.
wrong. You're not bad. You're not sick.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people out here to support you, and you could ask questions. If you're
Yes.
curious about who you are, ask somebody like CJ.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
if
there are organizations for young people like Hope for Teens that are, and the LGBT Center of Raleigh has programs for young people. If you're starting out and if you've never told anybody that you're queer and you want to talk to somebody confidentially about your experience and where you are and try to figure things out, I can connect you with those organizations that are going to help you to do that in a confidential way.
let's give your email again.
Sure, it's cj at cjscarlett.com, and that's cjscarlet.com.
Perfect. So everyone, and my email is Marilyn at marilynshannon.com. I would love to hear from you. Any show ideas, and it doesn't matter what it is, because we have to talk about everything and
Mm-hmm.
everybody. So bring it on. And with that, CJ, I love you.
I love you too. You're a delightful host. Thank you so much.
Thank you.